What makes you look so good? Why don't you love me like I know you could?
All right, 5 minutes after 10 o'clock. Thank you for tuning in this Friday morning. It's Friday, so it's a Good Morning Plus one, and then add another one because Kelly Hart is in the studio to bring you Ocala Magazine Radio. And today, if you're watching, you see a much closer picture than last week. Last week, the camera was a mile away, and now it's right in front of her. It looks like a doll right in front of there, too. Good morning, Kelly. How you doing?
Good morning. How are you?
Pretty good.
Great.
You got the room filled today, huh?
I do. Full house. Ocala Magazine packed the house.
Full house and a doll. So there's a full house and a doll.
And two. There's one in front of you, too. You just don't know it.
Oh, okay. I can't see it over there. Okay. Yeah, I'm kind of blocked in over here.
Yes, you are. Well, I do have a full house. It's a great group of guests today. If you look at the August edition of Ocala Magazine, we talk about several destinations, and one of the features are our wedding destinations. So we wanted to bring our guest in today to be able to talk to you and our listeners about different options for weddings available.
All right.
Local options for brides and grooms that are planning their weddings. We're also asking any brides listening that have any questions about planning weddings to please feel free to call in. I mean, this is the opportunity to ask the professionals. The number is 622-WOCA. So if anybody's listening and has any comments or questions about upcoming weddings or events, this is the time to call. So I'll introduce my guest to you this morning. Starting to my right, we have Jonathan Noyes from the Plantation Inn in Crystal River. He is the executive meeting manager. And then to his right, we have Robin Fannin from the Holiday Inn Sky in Ocala. She's the director of weddings and events. And then to her right is Colleen Harper from the Appleton Museum in Ocala.
All right.
She's the events manager over there. And to her right, she brought a guest. That's Cindy Morrison. She's the director of the Appleton Museum. And finally, I have Julianne Cuomo. Am I saying that properly? Okay. From Golden Ocala. And she is the director of celebrations and the new director there. So we welcome you here and to a Golden Ocala.
Thank you.
So I want to start out by just first asking everybody in the room to just briefly describe, to give people an idea of the feel of your location, so that if there are couples that are looking for their perfect location, in just a few words to sum up a description of what your location presents to them.
All right.
Starting with Jonathan.
At the plantation on Crystal River, we go for a really nature feel, close to nature. Your ceremony's held out on the point, which is surrounded by water, beautiful landscape, and you can watch the sunset or the sunrise. And then in the room, it adds a spice of elegance to the room, being that you came from outside in the nature and you come inside and it's very elegant. Ballrooms with 18-foot vaulted ceilings with chandeliers. It's just a very nice setting for both aspects of your wedding.
Wonderful. Robin?
Well, our hotel is, we like to call it a very unique boutique hotel. It's not your typical Holiday Inn. It's certainly not the Holiday Inn that you remember growing up stopping on the side of the highway to spend the night in. It has a very unique feel. It's all designed feng shui. The colors are very bright and happy. It has a modern romantic feel to it. That's what I like to call it, modern romance. But it's a lovely space, and it's definitely worth taking a look at.
Very good. And Colleen?
Well, the Appleton Museum is obviously a very unique place because we can offer the artwork in addition to having an event there. Brides can choose to show the museum to their guests, or if they just want to enjoy the courtside cafe and the courtyard, it's sort of an indoor-outdoor feel for them. So definitely unique. We're not a typical banquet hall. So when brides and grooms come to our facility, they see that uniqueness, and it's something that we can offer different than any other place, I feel.
Very good. And Cindy, did you want to add anything to that?
Well, right now we're currently we have taken out the escalators that were in the museum to get guests to the second floor, and we're putting in 2 marble staircases.
Oh,
so
beautiful.
We're adding another element to a otherwise actually work of art with the architecture that we have at the museum, and the outdoor sculptures and the fountains and the pool. So you start your experience right from when you drive up for your guests, and then come in, and it's adaptable to any type of theme and look.
Beautiful. Thank you. And Julianne?
Yes, the Golden Ocala Golf and Equestrian Club offers just probably the most spectacular photo ops out there here in Ocala, more beautiful than I've ever seen. Our 77,000 square foot clubhouse offers a variety of locations, indoor and outdoor in the gardens, for ceremonies and receptions with great Plan B weather backups being just as beautiful as your Plan A. I think probably one of our best features is the fact that when you become an Golden Ocala bride, you are our bride of the day. We focus directly on you and your guests. My entire staff is dedicated to you. You're not kind of rushed in and rushed out in the same 4-hour period. You've got all day to relax and enjoy the amenities that all of the members of Golden Ocala get to enjoy.
Very good. I don't know how anyone would choose.
Yeah, really.
Between all of that, it sounds fantastic. And
That's why we
unique.
leave it up to you ladies. That's why us guys do that.
That's probably a good idea. But it all sounds so unique. Everybody's eclectic. Everybody has their different aspects. So that's wonderful that all these different choices are provided to our bride and grooms. And you had mentioned receptions, and I want to touch on that because every year it seems like the trends of receptions change. The themes change, whether they like to be outdoors, whether they like to be indoors. And so let's talk a little bit about receptions and some of the trends that you guys are seeing with the brides that you work with and the grooms that you work with, and how those have evolved and what some of this this year's trends are. We were talking, Jonathan was mentioning in the lobby that instead of a traditional reception, he's got something exciting coming up that I'd like for him to share, and then for some of you to also share some of the reception trends that are popular now.
Yeah, a lot of the brides and a lot of the grooms are staying away from the traditional feel. Tomorrow morning, we actually have a sunrise wedding, 6:45 a.m. on the point. So they're actually going to get together. Their group's going to watch the sunrise, do their ceremony, then they're going to have a quick breakfast, and then they're going to jump right out onto the water to go scalloping as a group. So almost like a bonding experience for everybody, and every single person involved in the wedding is actually going out and going scalloping. So it's exciting to see that everyone's doing it and not just a small group. So
wow.
It'll be like a great feel for them
Sounds
to
fun.
get
Scalloping.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh.
so.
That's much better than
Yeah.
the chicken dance, right?
Yeah, right.
I agree.
And does anybody else have any reception trends that they've seen change from the traditional idea of receptions?
Well, we have definitely at the Holiday Inn. We're not seeing as many traditional weddings as we have in the past. I think there's a big push towards more of a rustic glam feel, an organic type of a feel. People are customizing their events much more to suit their needs, and we do that. We offer wedding packages, but for the most part, we will customize something to suit your needs and your budget as well.
Very good.
So.
Very good. And I know the Appleton in and of itself is just a unique idea. When you think about the Appleton in the past, I don't think people have really put the two together, the museum and the idea of hosting an event there. So I like that concept of being able to have the environment and the atmosphere there of the works of art that are there all the time and on display, but now they become part of your actual event. So that's very unique in nature.
Yes, and then of course we have special exhibitions, so if someone's planning their event around an exhibition that we may have in there that's traveling, they can, incorporate that into their event to make it more unique and different than what they would offer at another location.
Very good.
So.
Plus, we don't have a caterer on site. We have, the bride and groom can select their own caterer
Very good.
to come to plan their event with.
Very good. And Golden Ocala, let me ask you in the way of receptions, I've set up several weddings there, so I'm familiar with the inside ballrooms, but what other options do brides and grooms have at Golden Ocala for reception locations?
Reception locations it varies really. If it's a smaller event, our governor's room is absolutely stunning for a more sophisticated bride. We can go out to the Equestrian Center. We're starting to really look at that a lot harder as far as having some barn weddings and
Very good.
the horses out there in the pastures, and really having the most spectacular backdrop of any wedding. The golf course makes a beautiful background for the bride and groom saying "I do" out in our beautiful rose gardens. So many options and various locations to do so. So it's really fun out there.
That's wonderful. And Cindy just touched on something I want to talk about next, and that's food and catering. And I know that some of the venues allow for outside catering, and some have their own on-staff chefs. So I want to talk about what are some of the options for brides and grooms this season? Because I know a lot of people now have really started eating clean. That's become a real issue versus some of the more traditional options, and the organic and the vegan and some of the international foods that brides and grooms are choosing. Let's talk about some of the options now that brides and grooms have when they're planning their weddings.
At the plantation, we have a wide variety. We have our set menus that obviously give guidelines, show an aspect, the things that we do extremely well. But we do have a full culinary staff on property because all food and beverage does have to be purchased through us along with all the catering. So we do have a full staff that's there for every need. We can, customize vegan menus, vegetarians, and we sit down. When you book your wedding with us, you get to come in and we do a tasting. We'll actually put a spread out of all the food that you're thinking about having so we can kind of make sure that you like the taste, you like the flavor of the sauce, and we actually make any kind of changes that are needed and customize any menu any way you guys want them done. So there's no really limitations on what we can do. We just do whatever makes them happy and what kind of vision they have in mind, whatever they want to have on their day of their wedding.
Very good. Anybody else?
Yeah, we definitely the trend towards eating clean, vegetarianism. I'm personally very into that myself right now, so I can very much relate to that.
Yes.
But we definitely can customize any menu. We just recently did an island menu. Some folks from Jamaica had a wonderful event. We do a lot of Latin weddings, so we can certainly do a Latin menu. And of course, we've got Sky, which is really well known for their Asian flair and their Asian fusion. We can incorporate that. So yes, we can definitely customize and we can definitely accommodate anybody's dietary needs for sure. And that's a big part of today's wedding scene.
Absolutely.
Well, obviously, another very unique thing for us to have at the museum is for caterers or for brides and grooms to choose their own caterer, and this makes it very affordable for them. So if they want to actually bring in their own food from an outside source, such as like a Publix or a Sam's, they're able to do that and provide party trays. If they don't want to, hire a caterer, they're also able to bring in their own alcohol, so they can provide that themselves, buy it at ABC or any other venue, and be able to provide the alcohol themselves through through an outside source. So we think that's a very unique option to offer them, and I think that we definitely get people for that very reason, that they'll be able to choose their own caterer or bring their own food in. So
I actually just came here to Ocala brand new from Virginia Beach and worked for a large named hotel convention center that pumped out thousands of meals a day, and never really heard much difference from anybody until I got here to Golden Ocala. The chef here is absolutely amazing. It truly is world-class cuisine, but I haven't heard so many people in my life come out of one of our weddings or social events saying that was not banquet food. That was absolutely amazing. Every single plate that goes out has a personal touch to it. It's far from being banquet food.
That's very good. That is very good. And it's great that brides and grooms do have those options because, like you say, there's some brides who wants mom and future mother-in-law to do all the cooking and provide trays and finger foods. And then there's some brides that want to go the full gamut and have a full course, full-blown gourmet meal with the fancy garnishes and all of that kind of stuff. So it's great that there's all those options for our brides because some brides are on a budget and some brides are not. And so to be able to accommodate that whole range is really spectacular right here, all in one place. And for brides that are just getting started, I'd like some information or some of your opinions as far as what should a bride do. I know typically it's let me get the dress, let me pick out my bridesmaids, and some of that gets organized maybe even prior to them choosing a location. But when it comes to them starting that search for their perfect location, how far in advance should brides start searching for that? And what kind of steps do they need to take in booking a location?
Our recommendation usually is 6 months to a year. 6 months is kind of pushing it just because due to the volume of business that we have on the books and everything. But we like to say that if you're looking for a venue that's outside, that gives you that nature feel and is really relaxing and can be elegant at the same time, we're definitely a good spot for that to be. But the biggest thing is I feel that the first thing you should do is pick out your venue, because then you can get your invitations out, you can get your RSVPs done and all of that, so then you can get the menu set. The biggest thing to me is picking the venue.
Very good.
I would echo that. Definitely 6 months to a year out, particularly in the spring, Saturdays in the spring, or are pretty hot tickets. I'd like to find some of those non-budget brides you just talked about, Kelly. I have found that everybody has a wedding budget. You know, some are larger than others, but they're all pretty much working on a budget. So knowing your budget going into when you're finding your venue is pretty important. There's so much information out there, so try to do your research before you start going and looking at places, and try to get an idea in your head of what your vision is and what the feel that you want your wedding to be, because there's a lot of options out there and there's a lot of information out there. So the better armed you are with that, the more educated of a choice you're going to be able to make.
Right. And I think even in planning your budget, it might be a wise decision to start extremely early and meet with people and get prices, because for some brides the location is their main priority. For some brides the dress is her main priority. So depending on what your priority is for your wedding, it helps to go out, get all of your prices, figure out these 3 things are tops, the rest I will budget, the rest I will make some concessions, maybe have to have a plan B or C, but these things are set in stone. And so for the brides who location is their main priority, it would make more sense to me to go out, find out everybody's prices and figure out first, what is this going to cost me, and budget around that. How far in advance would the Appletons suggest them coming and trying to book?
Well, actually, for the museum, we're actually able to probably book out a month out if we have the availability. Obviously, the more time, the better, and that is, I would recommend that over waiting. But then there are some brides that have venues that have fallen out from underneath them at the last minute, and I ask them to call us and see if we have availability, because we usually do. We're not open to the public in the evening hours, so therefore generally evening hours are available any night of the week, weekends included. So I have booked weddings a month out or so. So
Wow.
That's definitely something that we can do, providing we have the availability. Obviously, April is a big month,
Sure.
and things do book up. April through June, but we have a lot of fall weddings as well. So
That's good information to know, because
Yes.
I'm sure right now there's some bride panicked because her destination didn't quite pan out and she's running around searching. So
yes, and I've had a few of them call me before. So.
very good. And Golden Ocala, how far out do you suggest them book?
Well, I agree with the board. 6 to 12 months
Okay.
is definitely a comfortable number. I actually have some brides calling me for 2015. I think they're right on the ball.
Wow.
little further out. But, Saturdays do go quickly in the spring and the fall around here. And, I think what's important to remember is that if you're flexible and you think you can get your guests to come out and join you for a Friday evening event or possibly a Sunday brunch wedding, not only are you going to enjoy not having to rush and grab that last Saturday of the month, but you are going to enjoy some good discounts to meet your budget.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned that, because that was my next thing I wanted to touch on, is the flexibility in dates. It's becoming a little bit of a trend for brides to have Friday evening, like you said, or Sunday weddings, and it may simply be because there's that discount, if that is in fact. Everybody's nodding, so
Yes, that's
I
the case.
assume that is in fact true. There are some ways to save by being a little flexible on your dates. So that's a very good bit of information. Some brides are set on Saturdays, but
Yeah, there's no reason for that. I mean, if they
Yeah.
are willing to go, of course, you don't want to inconvenience your guests, but if you're willing to go on to a Sunday and save so much money on doing so, why not?
That's
In some
great.
foreign countries, they have weddings on Tuesday nights because they're getting a good deal.
Right.
So if you want to save the money, talk to your guests.
that's very good information. I was married on a Tuesday. Did you know that, Larry?
Does that mean anything? Is that like Tuesday's child? Is that kind of thing?
No, it's
Tuesday's
just
bride?
when that's your husband's only off day.
Oh, okay.
then you get married on that day. So that worked out for me. So, anyways, I also want to talk a little bit about just trends in and of themselves. Ocala Magazine always likes to keep up with trends, and one of the big wedding trends now, or trends in general, is blogging. But specifically with weddings, I've seen brides start wedding blogs that their guests can tap into, and they're always updating. Today we went and did this and we did that, and it's a really great way for brides to share their entire experience with their friends and family through the process. And I was wondering, I know the Holiday Inn has its own blog that Robin manages herself. And Robin, have you seen the blogs? Have you gotten a good response from brides? Do they follow your blog? Are they reading the information there?
They do, and I just want to share an experience. I just did a wedding not long ago, and the bride and the groom literally chronicalized the whole year leading up to the wedding, and it was almost daily postings. And when the time of the wedding came, I mean, this thing had to go right, because I know the next day it was going to be all over Facebook and everybody was going to know about this wedding. So it is, and social media has made a big impact on everybody in the wedding industry, I feel. But yeah, it is a big trend, and I'm finding a lot of good positive response to it.
Do any others of you have blogs that you manage or that maybe you just follow to help you get ideas to help put these brides and their weddings together?
No.
I know The Knot has a good blog, and I think The Knot is something that most brides, the minute they get engaged, I think they go there and they start to read up on what's hot and what do they need to do and the time frame of when I need to start booking things. And so that's really nice, and it's also nice to have something that gives them ideas that aren't maybe just centered right here in the South, but ideas all over the place, because I think brides nowadays are pulling from other cultures and from other trends in bigger cities to try to pull off what would look like a very spectacular, very unique wedding right here in the heart of Florida. So I think that's always fun too. And I want to ask you guys what trends you've seen as far as decor. I know for a while, rustic and burlap and raffia, those were really, really popular. I don't know if it was The Knot, Martha Stewart. I don't know who put. Maybe it was the burlap companies, but whatever it was, that was it for every bride that I saw cross my path. So I was wondering, is that still the case, or do you see the trend becoming a little bit more classic, sophisticated, traditional? What are your experiences with that?
I feel with the trends, it's definitely Pinterest. Everybody has a
Yes,
Pinterest. I
absolutely.
will admit I have one myself to follow the trends and keep up with all the changes, the brides, and I feel like a Pinterest board is where they get most of their ideas from. A lot of the centerpieces, the decor has all been, homemade, something they did together with all the bridesmaids. It was more of a family effort to get everything decorated instead of calling a decoration company and getting everything brought in. A lot of it's still that rustic, homemade feel, the mason jars with the names on the side of them, anything from the burlap, of course. Everybody still loves burlap.
Okay.
But
Does everybody agree? Is burlap still?
I think it is for the fall, and I think trends follow trends everywhere. It follows the seasons.
Sure.
It follows fashion trends.
Yes.
You get the same impact in weddings. So in the summertime, you'll find lighter, brighter colors, and going into the autumn and fall, you're going to get into more of the rustics and the burlaps and the raffia and that type of thing. So I think they all go hand in hand.
Okay.
That's
Very
my
good.
opinion.
Anybody else have any other ideas about trends? Have they seen anything out there that seems to be leading towards something other than burlap this season?
I have a lot of classic brides.
Okay.
A lot of they want the more sophisticated, the more picturesque kind of thing. The
Okay.
old style is what they're looking for. But I think it really comes down to the decorator that they choose and
Sure.
which way they're swayed when they walk into their display room and see what they have. I'm seeing a lot of moss. I'm seeing,
Great.
some different things. But staying with the colors of the season and, that's just, it's all personal interests of what they want.
And
So-
that is the beauty of weddings, is to be able to reflect the bride and groom's personality. If they're sports fans, if they're vintage, if they're, big Harley fans, sometimes you can pull that into the decor and still keep it very classy, but make it really personal for them. And before we go, I just want to give anybody an opportunity that may have a wedding show or something lined up to share with us, so that if there's any brides listening, they can sketch that down in their calendar and come to some of the shows. Anybody have any
I do,
bridal?
definitely. The Holiday Inn and Suites is hosting a bridal show on September 29th. That's a Sunday from 11 to 2. We're going to have all of our preferred vendors. Some of the best in the business will be there. And we're also going to have some food tastings and some beverages. And
Larry, you want to go and we'll pretend that we're...
Sounds like fun.
It is. It's a lot of fun, and it's a very enjoyable day, and we're going to have little gift bags and all kinds of fun things, and
sounds fun.
A lot of our information and our vendors' information. So if you don't have anybody yet lined up for your wedding, it's a great opportunity. And if you make advance reservations, there's no charge for it. So
Very good.
look for our full page ad in Ocala magazine.
Yes, of course.
September.
Of course, and everybody's contact information is in this month's Ocala magazine at the bottom of each of their profiles. You'll see their names, contact information. The only one that you will not see is the Golden Ocala, so I want to give you a chance to throw out an email address quickly.
Okay, great. Thank you. Well, it's my first name, Julianne, Julianne.Cuomo, Cuomo, at goldenocala.com.
Very good, and I want to thank you guys for being here, and thank you, Larry, for having us this morning.
You're welcome as always. Good
All
show
right.
as always.
Very good.
All right, we will take a little break and we'll be right back.
California women is mighty fine, and the New York girls blow your mind. I've been all around, coast to coast. Baby, I believe that you're the most Ocala, baby. What makes you look so good?
Ocala's information station, 1370 WOCA.
The weather is brought to you by myfwc.com. Life jackets save lives. We're at Florida. A mix of clouds and sun today with a shower and thunderstorm around. Only in the morning, though, along the coast, the high 88 to 90.